Good morning, folks. Good to see you. You're really welcome. We'll start to gather. So if you're visiting with us, you're more than welcome. My name's Brian. I look after some of the men's stuff here at church. And we were meeting on Friday, so we had a great night together. There was food, so it's always a good start. But you're welcome to church today with us. So the words are going to come up on the screen as the worship team lead us. But I thought maybe as we were praying before, we were just, as we always do, we were just waiting to see what God was saying and praying into things. And part of it was just that God lifts people's heads up. That as we get busy, we put our heads down and we put our shoulder to the wheel and we keep plowing on. But what came through was Psalm 24. Lift your heads, O ye gates, and be lifted up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. He is this King of glory. He's the Lord, strong and mighty, the Lord who is mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, lift up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. We welcome you here, Father. Your Holy Spirit is moving already. And we pray that you speak to us. As we come and we sing these songs of worship, we give our offering to you. And in the way that you do that, we receive in the midst of that. We welcome you here. Father, receive what we give and meet us in your name. Show you the world. Every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you.
Spirit, nights are getting shorter, and God, you make all things new. So God, I just pray that For those of us who are struggling or a bit tired or burnt out, Lord, that you will refresh us, that you will make us like the wee shoots of the daffodils that are about to come up. So God, be with us all. Just fill us with your love and your Holy Spirit. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Welcome. Good morning. You're so welcome to Carrickfergus Vineyard. I'm Steph and I'm part of our kids and youth teams here at church. GEMS is now open. If you're a parent or carer of a little one, aged 1 to 4, you're so welcome to take them there. There's a team waiting to meet them. Time has already disappeared, so there's probably escaped somewhere. It's lovely to see a couple of new faces dotted about this morning. You're seen, you're welcome. And if you would like to know a little bit more about us, like to connect with us, you're more than welcome to fill in a little connection card at our welcome desk. You just fill in your email address and your name and stuff. You'll not be bombarded with emails, but you will get our monthly email just to keep you informed of what's going on and what you can get involved in. You will also get a little Carrickfergus Vineyard mug and a little coffee mug for doing that, so we would love to get to know you. Coming up, a couple of things to come up. Every month we set aside a day for prayer and fasting. Now, if you're like me and keep forgetting when this is and haven't actually done it before, you don't need to give up food. Like, you don't have to give up food. Even social media, for a day, just whenever you're about to go on your phone, just have a wee think about God and ask Him for anything that's on your heart. So Thursday, the 2nd of February, is when we're going to do it this month. This weekend coming, Friday and Saturday, a bunch of us are going to the Vineyard Legacy Conference, and we would just love it if you would pray alongside us. Pray that God will speak to us, that He will reignite new vision in the different ministries that we lead in. So if you could be praying for us on Friday and Saturday, that would be great. Friday the 10th of February is our Beach Graze and Get Together night. Now, these tickets sold faster than Peter Kay tickets, so apologies if you didn't get a ticket. At one point our life group was like, are you in? Are you in? Did you get a ticket? Did you get a ticket? So yes, that's on Friday the 10th of February, so if you've got tickets, well done, and we will see you there. Next up is our CAP money course. Oh, would you look at that good looking family there? Are they just stunning? This is the closest we're going to get to be on the big screen, so if we could all just take a wee moment and just relish this. No, CAP money course is starting on the 14th of February, which also happens to be Valentine's Day, so there's no better romantic way to spend your night than talking about your finances. So there you go. Starting the 14th of February. Now, I don't actually know why we're up there. I think we're not running the course, by the way, in case anybody thought that. The lovely Gina and Andrea Adams are going to be running that. Starts on the 14th of February. It's a 3-week course on a Tuesday. I think it's a Tuesday night, whatever the 14th is. And it's on Zoom, so you don't even need to worry about babysitters. You don't need to worry about anything. Just a wee date with your laptop and away you go. We did the CAP course. Tom and I did it just after Ivy came into the world, and we did it at that stage. One, because it was a lockdown, there was not better to do. No, I'm joking. No, seriously, I'm joking. We knew our finances were going to take a significant hit at that point, going on the maternity pay, which is not a lot. So we decided to do it there. But I would recommend this for everyone and anyone. Whether you're struggling or not, once you get a handle on your finances, your whole world changes, really. And there's a cost of living crisis at the minute, so there's no better time to get your finances in order. I would recommend this for young adults and students who are about to go to uni or who have just flown the nest. Once you get your finances in order with the little things, the big things come along, like a mortgage or car finance, then you're not worrying because you know what to do. Also, if there's people that aren't in this church, they're not part of our church, they are also welcome to do this as well. Tom's managed to get one of his mates from England to sign up and do it, so there you go. They don't even need to be in the country. There's no obligation, there's no hidden agenda to come to church doing this. They'll do the 3 weeks and that's all. So if you know somebody that doesn't go to church but would benefit from this, please pass it on. So starting on the 14th of February, anyone and everyone is welcome to sign up to that. We're going to take a short break now. During that time, the offering basket will pass round. Please feel free to give to that. And there might be other ways to give on the screen. Maybe not. We can find them on our website anyway. And then Paul is going to come and continue our Sabbath series.
Okay, so, good morning. Good morning, folks. I hope you don't mind. I stuck the lights on just so that I can see you. You're kind of in the dark there, and I wanted to be able to see your faces as you get to see my face. It's so good to be together this morning. I want to take us back to February 1993. For those of us who are alive, I was 19 years of age, and I was taking a gap year, and I had decided to embark on a bit of an adventure and went across to Israel. To go live and work on what's known as a kibbutz. A kibbutz, very briefly, is a community of people that live together, work together for the sake of everyone who's living there. And as volunteers, you could go from all over the world, and so that's what I did with a friend of mine called Simon. We went there, were a group of 10 of us, and we got assigned to working in the date plantation, hundreds and hundreds of palm trees, which are really date trees. And that was my job. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, had a quiet time with Jesus, and got to the place where the tractors and all the things were kept. I got assigned as one of the tractor drivers and drove this tractor down to the date trees, and that's where I'd work. Literally up in the trees, we'd have cherry pickers, and another kind of device would have lifted us high up into the trees. We would have got off and into the tree, literally many, many feet off the ground, working there in amongst the pods and pollinating and this, that, and the other. And then we would have finished, knocked off, and got back up to the kibbutz for about 2 o'clock for lunch, and then the rest of the day was free. That was my life for about 2.5 months, and it was an incredible experience. Got to meet lots of people and do lots of other cool things, like get to go and travel to all the amazing places in Israel. If you've never been, I'd wholeheartedly recommend a trip there. But whilst we were there, we began on a 5-day week. It was Monday through to Friday, and then on the Friday evening, they would begin to celebrate Shabbat, Sabbath rest. Friday evening, the tablecloths came out onto the tables. We got given metal cutlery instead of plastic. We got the fine crockery, and we actually got meat on that celebration. So the meal was very different to what we were used to throughout the rest of the week. And this was a real beginning for me, begin to understanding the Jewish practice of Sabbath and Sabbath rest. And we would take Saturday off and Sunday off, and then we'd begin again on Monday. In some ways, a bit like our regular weekend. But as the pollination season of the date trees began, there was an increased pressure to get every single tree done in a certain time window. So there was a pressure on us, the team, to do that, and the guy leading the team was insisting that we work longer and that we work more days. To begin with, I should have told you that I've run over a little. That's right. So we had to work Monday through to Friday, and then Sunday, there was the odd Sunday where there was an expectation for us. And I was a youngish Christian still then, and I just thought, oh my goodness, that's Sunday, that's my day of rest, because that's what we do as Christians. Sunday is the day of rest. And I had this sort of inner turmoil and didn't really quite know, and I had a couple of air letters home. There weren't mobile phones in those days. We used to write air mail letters. Do you remember those? Yeah, all the bald heads and the grey hairs are kind of doing this right now. It's kind of the blue kind of thing where you wrote a letter and it got sent home, and about 3 weeks later you might get a reply. And from home, from my home church, they were able to explain that actually the day didn't necessarily matter, but that it was a 24-hour period of rest. That was the important thing. So I thought, oh, that's okay. I'll join with the Jewish celebration of I'll take Saturday as the day. And as time wore on, the pressure mounted. They wanted us to work 7 days a week. And I was just like, that totally breaks the command. I am not going to go there. But there was a real pressure, and I was the only one of a team of about 8 of us that sort of stood out. And I spoke out and I said, listen, I'm really sorry to the Jewish people. A bit ironic, slightly. I'm a Christian. And I think that God says in his Bible, the same one we read, that we should take a day of rest, and so that's what I'll be doing. And that's what I did. And for about 2 or 3 weeks, there was a 7-day, everyone was expected to work every day, I worked 6. And on that day, I rested, And I remember taking my Sony Walkman, as it were, the cassette tapes, with Matt Redman and Martin Smith worship music. I would take myself off. I'd sit on a rock somewhere. Like, I vividly remember this, and I'd listen to worship music. There was one other Christian who was Dutch, and we would meet on this day, and we would read the scriptures together, and we'd pray for each other. Completely different church background. Completely different, but he was my brother, and we met and we worshipped in that way together. I remember this so vividly. The point of all of this story is that the others that went to work 7 days a week, they noticed on the 6 days that I was working that I was more productive than they were. They saw and they noticed that I just had this ability to kind of get to more trees than they were. And that was the importance of rest and recovery. And actually the reality is this, and studies have been done, that we are more productive by doing less. Or we are more productive when we're on if we take the time to adequately rest and recover. And that is a massive part of why God says in his commandments, labor those days, but remember the Sabbath day. Keep it holy and take time to rest and to recover, to recharge the batteries and go again. What I find interesting is post-COVID is that many employers are pushing for a 4-day working week. Can we cram our hours, actually work slightly longer over 4 days and give ourselves even more time and more rest and more recovery to enjoy the purpose of life? This whole teaching season or series is a timely one as we come out and off the back of an exhausting period of time. We entered it burnt out. We went through it and come out the other side of it burnt out. Never before have we ever been on. And this, as we remind ourselves over the last number of weeks, we pick up the teaching here on Sabbath about how the importance of rest and recovery and delighting in God and worshipping of him. What was interesting is that on Monday past, our Leadership Essentials group that we're doing, a number of us, we're journeying on a once-a-month basis, developing in the whole area of leadership. We met at Antrim Coast Vineyard with a number of the folks there, and the session or the point of the evening was being before doing. And this whole theme came up again, the importance of being before the Lord, of resting and recovering and ministering and doing the stuff out of a place of having been with Jesus. And so the conversation opened up with our discussion groups, and what was being kind of fed back I found absolutely fascinating. The number of people sort of my age that were recalling times, having grown up in households where Sunday was special. There was something incredibly different about it, where you would have met in the special room in the house that was only used on Sundays. That was the day when good food was made, where coffee was percolated, was something that was mentioned there. Someone in the group had said that they would do no schoolwork whatsoever on a Sunday. Even though there might have been exams on the Monday, no revision would happen on the Sunday because that was the day of rest. And what that did was it forced the revision and the work to be done on those other days in preparation for a day of rest. Without guilt, without worry, without being panicked about those important exams on the Monday. And I thought, isn't it interesting how we've moved away from that? And yes, I understand that much of the narrative behind Sabbath was based upon something that we felt was restrictive and was religious and was actually centered on all the reasons or all the things you can't do and shouldn't do. When actually, I think this series is about redeeming a God-given commandment to us, that if we practice it well, without being all kind of caught up in legalism, it will see it as something really releasing and really freeing and really joyful and really helpful for ourselves. As I reflected on the other evening, I came home, Chantel wasn't there, and I had this conversation with you, and I just said, you know what? We have done a really bad job of this as parents with our own children. We haven't modelled this at all. We haven't modelled the importance of taking a full day of rest. And yes, we work through the week. Yes, we in particular get to work part of Sunday. But kind of the week just sort of merges into one. And yes, the weekends are slightly different, but it's still busy and there's still lots of activity. There's still lots of stuff that goes on. And I do feel like this time is an opportunity for us to stop, to camp out, to consider the things and make some changes. You get to hear 52 life-changing sermons a year. And I feel like these weeks, as we listen and as we practice, we're getting the opportunity to make some changes. One last thing, before I finally get to what I want to talk about. In fact, the rise in technology hasn't helped. Labour-saving devices, which we thought 20, 30 years ago, washing machines, dishwashers, tumble dryers, all of those things, we thought, oh my goodness, isn't this great? It's going to save us so much time, it's going to free us up and have even more time at the weekend. Compound that to technology and computers and, of course, tablets and phones and all the rest. Instead of saving us time, it's just made us have higher capacity, higher productivity, higher being on. And that is an exhausting thing. It's an addictive thing to be looking, constantly lifting it up. It's a habitual thing. We've talked about it before, and it is something that we would do well to get a handle on. I was going to do this as a notice, but I thought, you know what, it sets itself up really nicely in this to communicate something which I want to do really well and really sensitively. This might be a bit clunky, and I don't want it to be. I want you to hear my heart behind it. It's written in our February newsletter. Those of you who are signed up and get our newsletter, you'll see it written in there. And it's really communication between ourselves and our staff. And I say this in the context that we want to be really, really contactable. We want you to be able to touch base with us on anything and everything in the right way and at the right time. And so we respectfully are just communicating this in terms of, if you want to get hold of us, you can grab us every single Sunday. Come up to us, say hi, if you'd like to chat about this, and it could be done today. That'd be great. Or actually something there, could we arrange another time during the week and we can meet up? Yeah, of course you can, no problem. If it's something that kind of comes up during the course of the week and you're just like, you know, really like to chat about that, then send us an email. We've all got email addresses, and please do that. That's probably the best form of communication to do that. You can avail of that. There's also through mobile phone, through a work mobile phone. So myself and Chantel, we have a pastor's mobile phone, and the number's very available, and it will be on the email, and it will be, hopefully, if it's not, it should be on our website as well. And then the office have a number of which you can call and contact, or text even. And Kate Crosby as well also has a work mobile phone. All of those numbers are available to you, and they would be the best way of contacting us on those. Many of you have our own personal and private numbers, and we would just ask you to consider, you know, whenever you do make contact with us, when you're contacting us, and the content and the nature of what it is that you're writing. So if it's Friday evening, and chances are we're going to be off, and you're sort of saying, hey, such and such is da-da-da, or what's happening, am I on Sunday morning? You know, that's probably not the best time to do that, and it's not the best method to do it privately through that. And can I also say, just the last point, is please don't use social media as a form of contacting. You know, please don't be using Messenger or any of those, I don't know the rest of them, but it's a good job I don't have it. You can't get hold of me. unless you follow me on Strava, and you could send me a message there. But that's that. I hope that's come across well. If it hasn't, and whatever, please hear our hearts. We really want to be contactable and all the rest. And sometimes, the edges are just a little bit blurry. Many of you I consider my friends, and I hope that you consider me your friend. And sometimes you're a bit like, oh, can we, can't we, and all the rest. And I hope you can just use your love and just think, is this one time? Is that okay? No, it's not. Stab me in the eye later. Okay, where are we? Oh. Let me pick up on where Kate left off last week. That's a 16-minute introduction. Kate, last week, in the second of this 4-part series on Sabbath, ended talking about this. As we consider and begin to practice Sabbath, we're going to meet resistance, some pushback, not just from the culture that we're living in right now, but also from inside our very selves. What is the restlessness inside of us? She read this quote from Cole Riley: "To cultivate habits of rest, we must discern what noise has found a way to penetrate our soul. To find the rest that our souls deserve and require, that Jesus is leading us towards, we need to know what makes our souls restless. What is it that's constantly driving me and you to be constantly on?" 2 Fridays ago, Chantal and I went for a walk with Marley, our dog, in the snow up at the dams, and it was lovely. This is one of our practices that we're trying to put in place. It's something that we used to do, and we're trying to redeem it, is to try and finish up most of our kind of church-needed work on a Friday sort of afternoon, so that we get Friday afternoon together to go for a walk, spend time with each other, connect with each other, debrief all of our church life, so that the rest of our weekend we're not talking about church. So we just be normal human beings together, normal married couple together. And so Friday, we're walking the dog. It's just beautiful. I love it. For me, that is one of the places I come alive. The environment, the opportunity to walk and to talk, it's just magnificent for me. And we were reflecting on this series, and I said, for me, I look forward to Friday afternoon. Genuinely, I do. I feel like it's the opportunity, it's the weekend. I do get some time to rest and to kick back and not have to do all the things we have to do during the week. But if I'm really honest, there's a bit of me that fears the weekend as well. I fear the time off. I shared this on Monday night, and let me put my glasses on, because then I can see your reactions, because people seem to react a bit as I shared this on Monday. Sometimes for me, as a doer, as someone I love activity, I love people, I love socialization, I love being productive, I love doing, going. Stopping, I do find difficult. Holiday time, sometimes I find difficult to actually stop, rest, recover. And part of that is because it gives me and it gives my mind more time to dwell on things I'd rather not dwell on. And sometimes fear for me, anxieties in me will sometimes just be multiplied because I've got time, I've got space. And actually, when I'm busy, and I'm active, I'm doing this and doing that, it just puts that noise to the side, and I can just keep going. And looking at some of your faces, you can resonate with what I've just said. I'll take my glasses off so you're all blurry. And that for me is the resistance within me. It's not the culture around me. It's actually in me. That's the pushback. And yet, what I feel like God is speaking to me about in this season is in the stopping, in the resting, is even if the fear and the anxiety and the swirling thoughts emerge, it's to just spend time taking that to Jesus and resting in him and allowing him and inviting him to have a conversation and gradually and graciously and lovingly be kind to me. So, where are we at? 21 minutes past 11. That's a 21-minute introduction. Let me take 10 minutes. We're thankful to John Mark Comer, who's an absolute genius, who's written this content, which we're stealing lots of. We're third week, it's delight, it's joy, it's not only do we stop, not only do we rest, but let us practice doing the things that we delight. So it's a little bit of a contradiction of what I've just said. It's not that we just stop, rest, and we sit in a room silent for 24 hours. There are some wonderful things that we get to do that we don't necessarily do on the other 6 days of the week. That is a celebration that brings about joy, that releases life to us. The Genesis story we read that God saw all that he had made and it was very good. The word translated good is tov in Hebrew, and it can be translated as beautiful. There is some incredible stuff in our world that is wonderful and joyous and beautiful, and yet we're bombarded often by the busyness and the noise and the terrible things of what we watch on the news and things that we look at and scroll at when we look at social media or whatever it might be. Jesus himself said, in this world you'll have trouble. That's inevitable. But actually, in this world, God is inviting us to have peace and to have joy and to have celebration. And joy is 3 things. It's a feeling, it's a condition, it's a discipline. It's a feeling, that feeling that you get when something good has happened, good has come your way. And it is something, it's an emotion that we get to feel. It's a condition. It's a way of being. But it's also a discipline. It's something that we need to practice. Richard Foster, who wrote that brilliant book, The Celebration of Discipline, who looked at lots of various spiritual practices. The spiritual discipline of celebration is about practicing. It's about doing celebratory things, good things that give our hearts joy and bring life to us, like walking the dog on a Friday afternoon, especially in the snow. It was even brilliant. Didn't have to wash the dog when I got home. It was amazing. Sabbath is a discipline of celebration, a delivery mechanism for joy. Is one of the most important disciplines by which we become full of joy, like our God. Let's read again. Let's remind ourselves, Genesis 1. God saw all that he had made. It was very good. There was evening, there was morning, the 6th day. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. By the 7th day, God had finished the work he'd been doing. On the 7th day, he rested from his work. And God blessed the 7th day, made it holy, because he rested from all of the work of creating that he'd done. Rested is Shabbat in Hebrew. Whilst it literally means to stop or rest, we have this idea that God delighted in all of his work. He spent 6 days, been working real hard. He'd done this. He created the heavens, the earth. He created the land and the creatures, and eventually made us. And then on the 7th day, he stopped, he kicked back, and he delighted in his work. It's a bit like, you've been working really hard at something, an assignment maybe. You've been working flat out at it, and you get it done. You get to submit it, and you kick back and go, that was hard work, but it's done. It's a bit like homework or revision, and you're preparing yourselves. You do all that work, and you feel like, I am ready for that exam. Give it to me. I never felt like that, actually. I was like, oh God, I hope that's on the test. It's a bit like you've spent an hour or two cleaning the house. Everything is put in its right place. Even the kids' trainers are put away. The washing is done. Oh, I can kick back and make a cup of tea and sit down and admire my clean kitchen. The garden project that you spent days at, working at, digging and landscaping and planting and da-di-da. Sun comes out, you light the barbecue, you open a bottle of wine, and you delight in what you've just done. That's what Sabbath is about. It's about running hard, working hard. It's about kicking back and looking and enjoying and delighting. Delight. Let me skip to this bit here. Can we show that quote by Dan Allender? Have we got that? Brilliant. The Sabbath is an invitation to enter delight. The Sabbath, when experienced as God intended, is the best day of our lives. Without question or thought, is the best day of the week. It is the day we anticipate Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The day we remember on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Sabbath is the holy time where we feast, play, dance, have sex, sing, pray, laugh, tell stories, read, paint, walk, watch creation in its fullness. Few people are willing to enter the Sabbath and sanctify it, to make it holy, because a full day of delight and joy is more than most people can bear in a lifetime, let alone a week. I hope that the picture is coming to focus for you. The Sabbath is not this dreary, religious, boring, you can't do anything day, but it's actually a life-giving day where we do get to practice the things that bring us alive. It's not a day where we tie up the swings and say, no kids, you can't play. 3 things, and then we'll land it. First, we have to slow down. Hurry and joy are incompatible. We need to slow down. We need to deliberately stop and make that a priority. If we don't do that, it just blurs into one and we go again on Monday. Secondly, that is going to require putting some boundaries in place. It's going to take a bit of planning. It's going to take a little bit of order. It's going to take a bit of decision making on your part. Some person here, Marva Dawn, writes, we don't know how to feast because we don't know how to fast. We don't know how to say no to certain things so that when we get to say yes to the feast, we haven't just been feasting all through the week. We don't know how to savor each bite of food because a lot of us overeat all week long. We don't know how to savor a good film because we binge TV every night. We don't know how to savor our closest relationships because we're over busy. Part of Sabbath is learning to slow down our entire life. And so, one practice for the 2 people in the room that are making notes, you might want to make notes. It's really good to practice an I will list and I will not list. And this doesn't have to be legalistic. As you reflect, as you go away during this week, I will during the week, I will not during the week. I will on Sabbath, I will not on Sabbath. And again, it's not a set of rules and whatever's going to bind you up and hold you to do it, but something that's going to be helpful. So if you're a mechanic and you love gardening, go for it. But if you're a landscaper, maybe wait for a better time to do your own garden. If you're a mechanic, during the week, don't do your car at the weekend. Do you get the picture? It's those things, practice them if it's going to bring you joy, if it's not what you do during the rest of the week. And then thirdly, most importantly, it will require you to give yourself the joy. Practice celebration. Practice those things. Today, I'm going to pamper my soul. What could you do in a 24-hour period of time that will bring you deep joy? What brings you alive? That's probably one of the most helpful questions to reflect on, is what is it that you do that brings you alive, that brings such joy to you? Activities that you can do, and like we've done the last 2 weeks, you're going to get an email from us. Hopefully this afternoon will go into your inbox and you can take some time to read that and reflect on it and think about it and practice it. But here are some things. Firstly, we'd encourage you to consider feasting, of having a special meal. It could be on the Friday evening, like the traditional Shabbat. There's some things in the notes and things that you're going to be sent that's going to help you prepare for a feast. That feast could be now, Sunday lunch. For me, growing up, that was the big deal. I remember being forced to go to church on a Sunday morning. I hated it. That's another story. But the Sunday roast was in the oven at home. And we came back and we ate that as a family every single Sunday. Maybe that's something that needs to be rescued and redeemed. It doesn't have to be a roast. It could be just bacon sandwiches with friends and whatever it might be. Community. Who is it that you want to celebrate with? People that you love, people that bring you great joy. Practice gratitude. Practice play. All the things that bring you joy and fun and laughter. Practice special time with your family. Practice spending time with your spouse, and if that includes making love, then go for it. Practice nature, going out there and doing whatever it is, again, that brings you joy, brings you life. As I come into land, this is a journey for us, for all of us as a community. And I'd encourage you in your life groups, be sharing. How's it going? As we go and have coffee now, have a conversation. How's this sitting with you? How's this resonating with you? What have you been doing? What changes have you been making? We would love to hear stories. I know from conversations that I'm having with several of you, this has really got you thinking, and it's really getting you practicing. And so I'd love to know how it's going. What are you doing that's been different? What changes, what choices have you been making? That would be really, really good. The last thing I want to say is all of this is about life-giving. It's not about being religious. It's not about being legalistic and being restrictive. It's about stopping, resting, delighting in what he's given us. And next week, we're going to talk about the importance of worship, about our relationship with God and how we do practice that on our Shabbat. The worship team come up, that would be great. As these guys come and lead us, I invite you guys to stand.
and our defender, suffered and crucified. Forgiveness is in you. Descended into darkness and rose in glorious light. Forever seated high. I believe in God our Father. I believe in Christ His Son. I believe in the Holy Spirit. Our God is three in one. I believe in the resurrection, that we will rise again. For I believe in the name of Jesus. I believe in you. I believe you rose again. I believe that Jesus Christ is Lord. I believe in you. I believe you rose again. I believe that Jesus Christ, when Jesus comes again, for I believe in the name of Jesus. I believe in God our Father. I believe in Christ the Son. I believe in the Holy Spirit. Our God is three in one. I believe in the resurrection, that we will rise again. For I believe in the name of Jesus. Yes, I believe in the name of Jesus. Yes, I believe in the name of Jesus.
So as we create this moment and this bit of space prayerfully before the Lord, I'd like you just to ponder this question: what's stopping you from entering into Sabbath? Where's the resistance? And I guess for many it's actually just being intentional, isn't it? It's just about making a set of decisive decisions and then sticking to it. It's going to require some changes to the way that you work in the other days. It's going to require a bit of planning, a bit of forward planning. But I want to invite Jesus into those of us where the resistance is, it's more than just bad planning, or it's what I really spoke about personally. It's about filling the void where the yucky stuff sits with you and sometimes can just run away with things in our heads. God, we invite you into that now. Invite you. Where it feels like just a bit of a storm, we invite Jesus to walk towards us, to be with us in that storm. Holy Spirit into that. Give us rest. Just in this moment, just invite Him. Jesus' invitation to us, He said Himself, is to come, to follow Him, to walk with Him. What does walking with Him look like for you? To learn the unforced rhythms of grace and of peace, life in all its fullness. Where is He inviting? Where is He leading?
Your kingdom reigns. Our God reigns forever. Your kingdom reigns. Your kingdom reigns. Our God reigns. Our God reigns forever. Your kingdom reigns. Forever, your kingdom reigns. Our God reigns. Our God reigns. Forever, your kingdom reigns.
Wrap things up. There's an invitation to you to come to the front at the very close of this service for prayer for anything. In particular, I feel like God wants to minister to many of us this morning. Just in that whole area of rest. Rest for your weary souls. It doesn't have to be big or dramatic in any way, shape or form. But it is about responding to that word, to anything really, where you're posturing yourselves, you're positioning your life in a way that says, God, come and give me rest. But now a prayer for all of us. Now going to pray that the peace of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit be upon you. His peace. Guard your hearts and your minds with the love of God. And that your peace would go with you. And that his peace and his favor and his blessing be upon you, your homes, your loved ones, your communities. He is for you. He is for you. He is for you. Amen. Thank you for joining us. I look forward to our life group starting on Tuesday at the Lecky's house. We're so looking forward to that. The rest of your life groups, have a great time. Please come forwards for prayer if you'd like that. We'd so love to pray with you. Otherwise, go get your children, grab a coffee. See you soon.